Thank you. Right, press record now then. Yeah, so like I said, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us. We wanted to do this assembly, basically our work in school this week is all about gratitude, about showing gratitude to people. We've done a lot of work, Sarah and Gia, I'm sure you'll know this, like last week, some of my children went around school and interviewed people around school. So not necessarily the teachers, but the people that work behind the scenes a little bit more, just so we had a chance to say thank you to them for the work that's been going on. Now, as fortune would have it, this has kind of fell 1 year on from the first lockdown. So it's the year anniversary is tomorrow as when lockdown one started, which is amazing really that it's been a whole year. I don't think if we think back to that, I think we all thought it would be a few weeks, maybe a few months, but certainly not a year. So it's quite a nice reflective time to look back on all those people that we need to say thank you to. Yeah, it's a bit of a chance for us to also think about people in the community, which is where you guys all come in, people in the community that we wanted to say thank you to, and who we are grateful for helping keep us all safe, really. I put out a bit of a call a couple of months ago, not a couple of months, but a couple of weeks ago, about some local heroes, which is what you guys are all here for, our little local heroes, to talk about your experiences over the last year. So I'm just gonna, if you don't mind, just ask you all to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what your job is. So we'll talk about obviously how it's changed in the pandemic in a minute. So could we start with you, Sarah? Sarah's a youth support worker. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about what that's about?
Yeah, so I've been doing this role a couple of years, and it's not so much youth support, it's young adults, if you like, sort of over 18. And it's about giving people, independence, sort of bringing them more into the community, including them, introducing them to your friends and family, and working on things that they want to learn so they can live more independently. And it really is a lovely role. I've made so many friends out of it, and the guys who I support, they become friends of the family, and when they're out and about, they see, my friends, my family, and it's just a lovely role to, include people.
That sounds really lovely. Thank you for that. German, is it okay if I call you Gio? Josh says to call you Gio. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. Gio.
So you're an emergency nurse practitioner in A&E, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, Fab, do you want to tell us a little bit about, obviously, what your day-to-day job in normal times, what would it look like?
Okay. Right. In my own role, I don't involve much with COVID patients because when the pandemic started, exactly this time last year, the emergency department divided into 3 areas, which is an area for COVID symptom patients to be treated, then one area for non-COVID symptomatic patients, and then another area for minor injury people who had a fall with the minor injuries, hand and legs, things like that. So I am the area where people comes with injuries like hands and legs, things like that. So that's where I involved. So even though I never, because in our area, we never treated COVID patients. We're not supposed to treat COVID patients because COVID patients should be tested, symptomatic, they go to the COVID area. But in overall, we had a very challenging year because obviously when it is busy, we have to go to the other areas, help them. And because we all work as a team, even though we are separated in different areas, when we go to the COVID areas, we have to dress up. We need to put the PPEs. Overall, it was a very challenging year.
Okay. Yeah, brilliant. I'm sure we'll come back to that in a minute. Thank you very much for that. And finally, over to Christopher Buck, who I have to say is one of my very, very, very good friends. I've roped him into doing this for us. And actually, in normal times, this man is an absolute legend. He is one of the kindest people I know. And, just for example, I remember, Chris, a couple of years ago, you pretty much single-handedly moved house for me, didn't you? Remember that?
Oh, we did. Yeah, we did.
I call Chris the captain. We used to work together, didn't we? And is the captain.
We did, yeah.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about what your normal job is? I know you've got about 1 million.
So,
So what do you normally
So
get?
I know. Well, it obviously based from a child's entertainment's background, which we obviously did while I was the captain at Greasley Bovell Primary School, which I got the nickname from Miss Busby. And then from that, we went, after about 6 years, we went and bought, me and my business partner, Janine, we went and bought 2 soft play centres, which are in Huthwaite and Sutton in Ashfield. I know they're not in your areas, but yeah, so we bought them. And we had a really good start. And then obviously, we bought them in the September. And then obviously in March, which was the 21st of March, which we had to close. And so we've only been open that's 5-6 months, something like that. But in between that, obviously, I'll tell you later on what we've been doing just to put smiles on people's and kids' faces.
Yeah, so some very funny and interesting stories from Chris to come in a bit, I think. Thank you all for that, introducing yourself. I've got, so obviously I will hand over to the children a little bit. They've got some questions for you. We've got some pre-prepared questions, but I'm sure as we go along, other questions might pop up as well. So we'll do them as and when. So Kobe, do you want to come and do yours first, mate? Come round. Good lad. Get yourself on camera, dude. Good lad.
Can you talk to us about how your job role has changed during the pandemic?
So how has it changed during the pandemic? Shall we start with you again, Sarah, if that's okay? So what's been different about your job during the pandemic?
Well, it's been actually quite difficult to do the role. Because obviously everything's closed, people are more isolated than ever, but I've been really lucky with the fact that social care has been allowed to fully open during the lockdowns. So usually, you know, I'd support people. We'd be doing lots of things in the community. Unfortunately, we'd be very limited to, you know, going out walking, maybe teaching people how to cook things. Very frustrating for some of the guys who I support. A couple of ladies especially, it's they do voluntary work, they've not been able to do that. They'll ask, you know, when can we go out, can we do this, but they just can't remember that it's lockdown. So it's changed in that fact that we're limited to what we can do, but I'm really grateful that I've been able to work. Otherwise the guys would have been sat at home, nothing to do. A very, very depressing time for them.
Yeah, sounds really important work. Thank you very much for that, Sarah. Gio, I know you've already kind of spoke a little bit about your COVID-free wards and things like that. So obviously that's how that's changed. Is there anything else you'd like to add to that in terms of how it's been different? Obviously, I imagine you will have felt the difference more than a lot of us, how it's been different during the pandemic.
Well, I mean, from the emergency point of sight, we normally see patients who became unwell. And in my own personal role, I look after patients with injuries, who had a cut, who had a fall, and or broken wrist, broken legs, people like that. I think one of the common things, if I look back for the 1 year, is people struggle to look after themselves, because I mean, somebody who lives alone, who, because been locked down for many days and many months, who doesn't know how to treat or how to look after themselves. So even though some people tend up as a simple injuries, they may just need a reassurance. They just need some more advice. Yeah, this is fine, you will be fine, you can go home. So those kind of support, I think that is one of the main things we could provide this time. If I look back for a year ago, these kind of situations will be very minimal.
Yeah.
So that is one of the common thing we notice apart from the normal daily routine works, which is one of the main things we see in this time.
Yeah, fab. I think that idea of support is obviously a word that everybody's used for the last year, isn't it? And I think Yeah, it's the kind of side of your job that perhaps we wouldn't think about, but offering that support, definitely important. That actually leads quite nicely onto you, Captain. So how has it changed? Obviously, you're quite early on, wasn't it, in your new business that you had to close, you had to go into lockdown and close your business. So
it was, yeah.
Over the last year.
Well, yeah, it has been very challenging for obviously me and Janine. It's because obviously we rely on children coming in to keep the business going. So, you know, apart from obviously with the government, and they've been helping us with grants that we've been getting, and all the other companies that deal with us, they've given us sort of relief on any expense that's coming in. So it's helped us a lot. But that's all we generally we need children in to keep this business going. But you know, in between that, we've done a few little bits and bobs like Zoom parties for the kids at home. So you know, the Zoom parties where you can all be individually in your homes and we entertain. Hence why this in the background here, we've got the disco stand and other characters that we've got as well. Just to put the smiles on people's faces. And it doesn't really, to be fair, it doesn't generate enough money, but it keeps us it keeps us active, and it's you know, so it's something to do. You know, to me, just to, like I say, just put smiles on people's faces. Really, that's all it's about.
Knowing you, that's been your main aim, hasn't it? It's not been so much about keeping your business afloat, but just trying to cheer people where we can.
Yeah, that's it. Being positive. Yeah, positive and keep smiling. We can't do anything about it. We just got to go with the flow, haven't we? That's all we can do. And just keep smiling and being positive. That's all I keep saying.
So I was actually really excited. I think Rob will be joining us in a minute, and he's kind of in a similar position to you, Chris. He's got his own business, and he's had to just completely change what he's been doing for the last year. And that was a really good balance, having you four come on screen, because obviously Sarah and Gio it's been about your work, hasn't it? And actually your work has been really, really important over the last year. Whereas for you, Chris, it's been about inspiring that positivity a little bit, which I think is, you know, equally as important, isn't it? Because we've all needed that.
Yeah, and then the fact that the community around us and the people that follow us, they're the ones that are keeping us going, and they're the ones that will eventually, when we open fully, will make these two little you know, small businesses thrive again. You know, absolutely. So.
Right, shall we go to the next question then? Miley, do you want to come and do yours, darling? Don't worry about your chair. Over to you.
What new things have you learned about yourself over the past year?
Good. So we'll start with Gio this time. So do you think you've found any new skills about yourself that you've learned over the past year?
Well, a new skill in instance of any procedures wise, like I say, nothing learned from this 1 year. Well, I mean, I learned, we had some time to learn about a new course, part of our training, which was good. But in terms of in common, I think positivity and like you know, from A&E, and I'm sure everybody knows that these are very busy areas where we need to act very quickly, we need to take decisions very quickly, and we need to treat patients very quickly, things like that. But this time, one of the additional skills, I wouldn't say this is a skill, but the compassion and the patience, the time you need to think about to spend with the patient, it's more. That is the main thing. I think not only myself, every my colleagues learn that because we cannot treat, we cannot discharge patients as we used to before, because people's worry is mainly about injuries, mainly about their conditions, how I am going to be recover, how I am going to be survive, and how I am going to manage these conditions at home. So treating these patients and reassuring them, and then giving some comfort and giving some, if you want any questions, if you happy at all, then come back to us. We can look after you. So I think that is one of the skills we learned self-learned this time mainly.
Yeah, thanks for that, Gio. I'll come back to you guys in a second. I just want to say hi to Rob. Thank you for joining us, Rob.
Hi, it's all right.
Yeah, nice to see you. I know, thanks so much for taking the time. I know you've had to move a few things around for us, haven't you? So we really appreciate it. Just to let you know, I've just said to the guys at the start here, we're having serious internet issues at our school today. So the rest of the school were going to join us, but the internet's down. So I'm currently hotspotting it from my phone. So I've just had to record the meeting so I can share it with the rest of the school at a later point. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, it's fine with me. Yeah.
Rob, would you like, while you're on then, would you like to just introduce yourself to us and tell us a little bit about what your normal job is? So Rob works for a company called Aspire, and it's a wrestling alliance. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely. Normally we run wrestling. We do training for people of all ages. We do shows just like the WWE that you might see on TV. And then since COVID-19 has happened, we've been supporting people with food parcels and lots of other problems that we can help with.
Yeah, that's great. So we was talking to Chris, the Fun Times guy that you can see on your screen as well. He owns a children's play centre, and he's just been talking to us about how he's had to completely sort of adapt what he does during the pandemic, which obviously sounds very similar to what you've had to do. And obviously food parcels, we'll come and talk about that a little bit more in a minute, but something that's been really important. So thank you for that. Can we go to Sarah next then? So what was the question? It was about anything new that you've learned about yourself over the last year.
Yeah, so there's just two things, really important things I've learned about myself. I never realised before COVID-19 how positive I actually was as a person. And yeah, I've just got on with it. I don't worry about anything. I see a positive in everything. And that's what I try and pass on to the young people who I support. Yep. And another thing I've learned, which is it's lovely for me, is how much the people I support actually value me. You know, when you get a message from them to say how much they love everything you do for them, it's just so lovely.
Yeah.
So two really lovely things, positive things I've learned about myself.
That's really great. So I'll come back to that in a minute. That's a really great answer though. So I think obviously skills that you can obviously take forward now, isn't it? That it's not just about this year, but things that are going to benefit you in the long term. That's great. Chris, I imagine you're going to say something quite similar about positivity.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah. It's all about that, isn't it? At the end of the day, I mean, surviving as well. We are surviving, and with the help from everybody else. And like I say, we're in this pandemic where we can't do anything about it, and all we've got to do is, and especially with mental health and all that, we've just got to keep smiling, keep talking, and you know me, I can talk.
I was a bit you sharing this Zoom call actually. I thought I'm going to be able to keep him quiet for long enough to let other people talk.
I might take over. I'm not doing too bad at the minute. But yeah, it's all about keep smiling, keep being positive.
Yeah, fab. And what about you, Rob? The question was about any new things you've learned about yourself over the last year.
I think I've learned that I've learned more. I think that helping others helps yourself as well. There is no better feeling than being able to support other people. And I'm not sure that myself and the whole team here at Aspire would have coped as well as I think we probably have done if we weren't so involved with supporting other people, making a difference. So yeah, that's kind of made learning for me.
Yeah. That's lovely, thank you. So I think just obviously the key words that have come out there, sort of Gio mentioned about compassion. We talk to the children all the time in school about being compassionate to each other and how actually this last year we've had to help each other out, and it's obviously definitely something, a skill that I think, I mean, Gio and Sarah, I know obviously you will know with homeschooling and things, those kind of that resilience as well. So and Chris, I know you've done a bit of homeschooling as well with yours, haven't you? That resilience.
Yeah.
The children have gained, I think. and just valuing each other. I think, Rob, what you just said about helping others helps yourself, that kind of sums it up, doesn't it? I think we all know, all the people on this Zoom call definitely know that feeling of helping somebody else actually improves your well-being as well, doesn't it? So yeah, thank you.
Definitely.
Then Anahita, do you want to come down, darling? We're doing well here, guys. For time. Good.
Do you think that there are any positives to have come out of the past year?
Okay, any positives to have come out of the past year? Chris, let's start with you. What are the positive things to come out?
Well, the positive things is that everybody on our Facebook page and all the followers, they're all they can't wait to come back. So the positive thing for us, knowing that when we open them doors again on May the 17th, with limited capacity, everybody wants to come back in, which gives you the the warmth of fact that we're going to get customers in, and it's going to be paying the bills, and like I say, everybody wants to meet each other again, don't they?
Yeah, fabulous. Gio, what about you? Any positives that you think have come out of the past year?
Yeah, I think this COVID teach me personally, I think many people, that things what is not possible is possible now, because we never thought about like this kind of meeting. We never thought about Zoom learning, or we never thought about, I mean, we may have thought about it, but we never experienced before. I personally done a complete Zoom university-based course during this COVID time. At exam and everything is completely based on Zoom. And also kids, like, they sit at home and they're listening to the teachers and they reading, writing it down. So one of the main things we learned about how to adapt to a difficult situation, and then go with that.
Yeah.
And then learn from that, then develop from that. I know it's difficult to sitting in the classroom with all the children learning from that, but sitting at home, you got a lot of distracting things like at home as well. But again, it's survived from that. So I think that's one of the main things.
Yeah, brilliant. Comes back to that resilience, doesn't it? That kind of problem solving we all had to learn over the last year. Rob, what about you? So any positives that you think you can take out of your very unusual experience over the last year?
Yeah, definitely. It's how people have come together. So we're based in the Derwent part of Derby near the cricket club, and since the pandemic, we've had literally dozens and dozens of local residents of all ages who have come together and helped us to do what we're doing. And so the community spirit, has improved immeasurably.
Yeah, definitely something we've noticed. I think hopefully, obviously I've got Sarah and Gio are both parents of children in my class. So I'm hoping, I definitely feel from a teacher's point of view, better connected, which is strange because I've never actually met you guys in person, but I definitely feel better connected even with the parents and the wider community this year than I ever have done, because we've had to kind of have that regular communication through lockdowns and things. So definitely agree with that one. Rob, we know we kind of know we've got a mutual friend, haven't we? Charlotte Flindle, who put me in touch with you.
Yeah.
Who I play cricket with, and she said that she sees you as one of the most inspirational guys that she knows, and I know that you came very highly recommended to me for the work that you've done this year. So thank you. And who have I not done? It was Sarah, wasn't it? Sarah, any positives that you think could come out of the last year?
Yeah, definitely. I've seen a much better sense of community spirit.
Yeah.
The majority of people who I've encountered, they just they come across as so much more caring and helpful. I've certainly become more patient. And I think people aren't worrying about the tiny little things anymore. Just a generally, sort of nicer community. Yeah, the empathy and people wanting to help each other.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
Something that I've not sort of experienced probably since maybe even the 1980s. It's hopefully going forward, people remember this and stay that way.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. I think definitely something for us all to try and carry on when life goes back to normal, whatever that means, whenever that happens, that community spirit. Right, final question then, Isla, unless anybody has any more. She's stuck in a chair at the moment. As quickly. Come on. Sorry, just trapped in the chair. There we go.
Do you have a particular memory from the past year that will always stick with you?
Okay, a really good question. I like that. So a particular memory from the last year that will stick with you. Rob, can we go to you first? Is there a particular memory that stands out from your work over the last year?
Yeah, it's not a single one. It's happened a few times, but it's just seeing the joy on people's faces when you knock on the door, you know, in our case of the food parcel, and they're so happy just to receive it and to, I think, know that there's human kindness still out there. And also, in many cases, the people we've supported have been very isolated. So sometimes we've been the only person they've seen all week. And so just to see the happiness of people's faces, I think is something we'll remember.
Yeah, that's a really lovely answer. Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. Gio, what about you? Is there a particular memory that stands out to you?
I don't think there's anything particularly striking up, but like I say, when in the worker related issues, there's a lot of time we face patients who are quite stressed about, quite worried about their conditions. And then it may be due to the presenting complaint, or they may be due to the injuries they have suffered, or maybe something they had in the past, which cannot be dealt with because of the pandemic. Yeah. And their medication has been delayed or their treatment been delayed, and they come to me because of an injury. And and then the time you need to spend with them, and then you are standing out as a practitioner. You are step up as maybe a close friend, or you are step up as maybe a family member, and then you discuss that issues with that person and telling them that this is not like one experience which I cannot disclose the issues. That's why I'm just going around that cases. And this particular person has suffered with a serious illness, and his treatment has been delayed. And when he come to me with an injury, but the injury was nothing for him. The main issue was that illness he was suffering. And I need to spend a lot of time with him to tell him that this is in nobody's hand. This is something we all need to face. So that time I spent with him, I think when I went home, that was quite positive. And that I think that is only a one episode, but I had many similar episodes during this 1 year.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, thank you for that. Really great answer. What about you, Sarah? Is there any particular? I know, obviously, for you guys, particularly you, Sarah and Gio, there's a lot of things that you can't discuss with it. We understand that, sort of with, you know, the kind of work that you do. I know there's a lot of things you can't go into detail about. But is there a particular memory that stands out to you that you'll keep following on from this past year?
There's not one particular memory. There's a few. There's been occasions where, you know, people have been supporting have been so low, to not wanting to leave the house even. And when I can sort of step in and say something that makes a difference, and, you know, bring them back to their old selves again.
Yep.
It's just so special. It's amazing.
Yeah, it goes back to what Rob said earlier, doesn't it? About helping others, help yourself. It's that kind of feeling about doing something for the greater good. Yeah, great. And what about you, Captain? A particular memory?
So the one memory that we've got lots of memories, by the way, but one memory we've got is when we, like I say, putting smiles on people's faces, kids especially, and we had a bit of a visit to Asda once, and McDonald's. Now, if you see anything, don't be frightened. So we went round McDonald's. What was that? Did you see something then? So we went round McDonald's in a couple of dinosaurs, and we ended up getting something like, we ended up getting about 57,000 likes on Facebook, and people were sharing it all over the place. And then we decided to carry on doing it, and we ended up doing kids Zoom parties with this one here, with Big T at the back, messing about, especially going into Asda. So we all went into Asda, and we got on the internet anyway. But yeah, so that was one particular memory. But we went round Mansfield the other day as well, and we went round giving sweets out to all the kids on the streets. We did a 3-mile walk in these things, and I think Janine was dressed as a granny as well. So it's just all about having a laugh, really.
Yeah,
what we're about.
Bit of an internet sensation, didn't you, mate? Bit of an internet sensation. You were. Did it go in his dinosaur outfit through a McDonald's drive-through? That was the thing that I saw. I did want to show the kids the video, but the internet's not working, so I'll try and show them another time.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of guy that you are, isn't it? They're just being a bit silly to cheer people up, which is
why we
like
yeah. having a laugh.
Yeah. Right. That's kind of it for the questions that we've come up with. Has anybody else in the room got a question they would like to ask to any of our people? Molly, have you got one? Well done. Okay, so has your role been harder? So we obviously both spoke about it being quite challenging. Would you say it's been more difficult this year or less? I suppose that's going to be very different for all of you. Sarah, what do you think? Has it made life a lot harder?
It's not made life a lot harder, but on the odd occasion we've experienced a few problems. Because I support 3 people at one time, so going into just like a supermarket, obviously you're not supposed to go in with other people, and the looks and having to explain ourselves and show our idea of, to what I'm doing. It's been a little bit of a pain, people thinking the worst way, but apart from that, I can't say it's been too much harder.
It's things like that you don't really think about. So those kind of funny looks in the supermarket, I think it's that message that we just keep trying to spread all the time about just be kind. Like, you don't know what everybody else is going through. There's obviously a reason why you're supporting somebody in the supermarket. So yeah, thank you for that. Rob, what about you? Has it made I suppose your job's just completely changed, hasn't it? So do you think it's been a lot harder this year?
Yes and no. Harder because normally the money we get to pay for everything for the wrestling hasn't been there. So, and the food parcels we do is voluntary. It's not a paid service. So my job's been harder in terms of getting money to keep us going, something called funding. And the rest of it, the day-to-day, has in some ways been easier because we just enjoy helping, so we haven't found that bit hard at all.
Yeah, great answer. Comes back to that thing again, that community spirit. Love that. Gio, how about you? I imagine very different. Been much harder.
Yes. I mean, like I say, my day-to-day job role has not been changed from this whole year, except wearing this mask and the apron and the full PPE, wearing that 12 hours a day, and whether it's hot, whether it's cold. We need to wear that, and then we need to work along with that. Apart from that, I mean, there wasn't any difficulties we faced. I mean, yes, there is issues we face. People who walk in who doesn't want to wear PPEs, who doesn't believe in COVID pandemic, and then so we face those difficulties. So we need to obviously we need to tell them what it is. And then we need to explain them the seriousness of it. Explain them why we need to wear it, why we wear PPE. So those are the challenging we faced this year.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much. What about you, Captain?
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. It's first when we first went into lockdown. It was it was okay because we knew that the money that we got from the grants, etc., was keeping us, supported. And then the worry then after that, we was wondering, are we still getting them grants? And it was all a worry on his mind in the back. But then, gradually as we went on, we thought, you know what, we like us keep saying, we can't do anything about it. There's nothing we can do. We just got to keep being positive. And otherwise, because like I say, people with mental health, and it was worrying to start for me and Janine to start off with, and we've had as ups and downs. But like I say, putting that community spirit and keeping other people, it makes me a lot better in myself, and especially the things that people have gone through in this year. I know I've gone through quite a few bits, but I've had to keep positive for the other people, even though I was feeling a little bit low sometimes. But like I say, keeping that community spirit is 100%. That's what's what keeps people going, and we'll survive. We'll get out of it, and by being positive and like I say, keep smiling.
We like to call you the flame, don't we, Captain? But me and you used to be the flames, didn't we? Keep everybody going. Yeah. Keep everybody.
I'll ignite.
Right, I'm just going to hand over. Thank you so much for your time. I'm just going to hand over to Faith just for a last final message. And then I know you're all very busy, so we'll let you go very soon. Faith's just going to kind of summarise for us, though.
Thank you for taking the time to talk to us here at Chellaston Junior School this morning. We all think you are local heroes, and we want to say a big thank you for helping to keep our community safe over the past year.
Okay, I hope you heard all of that. Okay, so basically just thank you so much from my point of view for you guys joining the Zoom. And also, this is just our very small way. Like I say, our work this week in school is all about gratitude. It's our very small way of saying thank you to a selection of people, very varied selection, I have to say, of you guys that have helped do something for our community to help keep us safe and keep us happy, just as importantly, I think. So shall we all after three say a very big thank you, guys? 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Can I just say, Rex wants to do a dance.
Oh,
come on, Rex.
Take it away, Rex.
We're having a dance, kids.
Yeah, we have got a bit of a mixed reaction to that. I think some people might be a bit scared of the dinosaur in here. Yeah, loved it. We've got a few little T-Rexes going in here. Yeah. Captain, while I've got you on, can I when all COVID is over and we don't need to worry anymore about social distancing and stuff, will you come in and do a little disco for us properly in person?
I was going to say, if you wanted to do like I did for Greasley, because we like to say we're in here, we have a laugh. If you wanted to do it in the classrooms, I'll do you one for the classroom.
That sounds amazing. I will. Yeah, I'll give you a call about that. We'll try and get that organised.
Maybe for Easter or something like that. I was trying to get Greasley and your school in the same Zoom.
That would be amazing. I would absolutely love that. Let's try and sort that out. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you very much. Right, to everybody else, like I keep saying, thank you so much for joining us. I know it's not all of your cup of tea doing this kind of thing, but like we said, it's just our way of showing a little bit of gratitude to you all. So thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules, and the children really appreciate it as well. Okay, have a good day.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
See you, kids. Woohoo!